Hello everyone, this is Jordan from Tranquillité. Today we have a video about user certificates. The goal of this video is to quickly review how to create a certificate, how to deploy it on machines, how to remove it as well, and also to give a brief reminder about how the private key and public certificate principle works. I'll be working with my test infrastructure. In this test environment, I have two machines, Windows 11 and Windows 10. The goal is to use Windows 11 to perform actions on Windows 10. In my case, I have a certificate. The first certificate that exists is the master certificate. Let's say I just created my WAPT server, I just logged into the console, and I needed to create a first certificate, which is the master certificate. When I created my agent, this certificate was automatically placed on the machines. I can check this on my agent. When you generate an agent, you can see that indeed I have a CA WAPT Jarnaud certificate that is automatically added. I can add or remove others. But the idea is to always have at least one master certificate. So this master certificate is placed on all the machines. That means if I have control over the master certificate, I can perform actions on all the machines in the network. This can create a security issue. So it's in everyone's best interest to have a certificate specific to each person. With this in mind, we're going to create a new certificate. And to create this certificate, we'll go to Tools, then Generate a Certificate. We choose a destination directory. It needs to be a directory that is private, or at the very least has ACLs that restrict access to only those with the required authorizations. You should know that as soon as you have a certificate, a private key, you potentially have access to all the machines where that certificate is installed. So there is a significant security risk. Therefore, it's important to have a directory that is properly controlled. In my case, I'm going to give it a name. Let's say my initiator is called Jarnaud, so I'll create a certificate that has his name. Next, a password. I can leave the option for code signing checked. This allows me to have a certificate that is able to edit and modify packages, WAPT. If it's not checked, that's not possible. I'm not going to check the option for use as a CA. Why? Because if my certificate is a CA, it will be able to create child certificates. So I would have the ability to have certificates issued by Jarnaud. The problem with this solution is that if I want to revoke a certificate, it's not possible. So if I want to revoke the Jarnaud certificate, all the child certificates will no longer be recognized on the machines. As a result, they will all need to be recreated. In the same way, if it's not Jarnaud, that's the problem, but a child certificate. As soon as Jarnaud is revoked, that's it, goodbye. For example, I wouldn't be able to revoke my intern certificate. So with this in mind, with WAPT, we prefer to offer you the option to work with certificates that are independent. The advantage is that it will be easier for us to manage their revocation and deletion from the workstations through WAPT packages. That's what we'll look at next. So here, in my case, I'm just creating a Jarnaud certificate with code signing. If I want, I can fill in the optional information fields. The optional information is true to its name. You can choose whether or not to fill in these fields. However, as for the private key and the certificate authority certificate, if our certificate is independent, we don't need to fill those in either. Those are fields you only fill in if you depend on a CA. That's not my case. I can create my certificate. To check, I go to my directory and I do indeed have the CRT, the PEM, as well as the P12, which have been created. The main thing I need is this certificate, which will be deployed on all the machines, which is the public certificate. And here I have the PEM file, which is the private key. The advantage is that the public certificate will be able to read information and verify that the packages we ask it to install are legitimate, or that the actions signed by WAPT are indeed signed by a private key that it is able to decrypt. I can close this. What interests me now is to create a certificate. For that, I go to the private repository. We are going to generate a brand new package template, another package template, and we have the certificate package in which I will manually enter my CRT file information. I find it in my shared folder. Here, I can customize it a bit. I'll specify that it's a certificate, which might be clearer. Nothing else to do, create, upload. Okay, so I've created a package with my certificate. Now, that might be enough if in fact I'm the only one working on WAPT. But as soon as there are several of us, it can be useful to have a group package in which I'll put all the certificates. That will make it easier for me to manage later on. So that's what we're going to do. We'll anticipate the need a bit, and so I'm going to create a group package. I'm going to give this group package a name. It will be this document serves as a formal test certificate. The document is officially titled as a comprehensive test certificate. And so I'm going to look for my certificate. I have my Jarnaud certificate, and I also had a Pikachu test certificate. We'll add that one too. So now I've actually created a group package in which I have my two certificates. So I'll be able to quickly edit this group package and remove a dependency. If, for example, I'm no longer interested in Pikachu, I can remove it at any time. On the other hand, if I need to keep it, I can just add it back in. So I create this group package, and the idea is that I'm going to assign this group package directly to an OU. In my case, I could put it in another OU. Let's keep it simple. I'll put it at the domain level. But if I have users who are only allowed access to certain machines in specific OUs, I can then put their certificate in the particular OU. If, for example, these people they could only work with the test machines. At that point, I can put my certificate here. That way, I know these people will only have access to the machines that appear in test. Now, I'm going to find my package. Group. I drop it in. Now, these specific two different machines will find a new package. If I start the installations, I should see a new package appear. Okay, I do have a test certificate that has appeared. And as a result, my two certificates are indeed present on this machine as well as on Windows 10. What's also interesting is that at the machine level, you can quickly see if your certificates have been deployed. By enabling the certificate tab, you can update it, and there you go. In any case, Pikachu is there. The idea now is for me to connect using my certificate, Jarnaud, the one I just created. So who then? Now it's signed by the master and therefore available on both machines. To do this, I can go to Tools, Preferences, and there I'll select my new certificate. I'm not going to choose this one, I'll pick another one. At this point, I can select it. They're all in the same place. So that's pretty convenient. I choose Jarnaud. I save. So now I'm connected as Jarnaud. Since the certificate for Jarnaud is indeed present on Windows 10, that got updated in the meantime, which is actually a good thing. So I can perform actions. My private key, it's Jarnaud's that's being requested. So Jarnaud's password. And now, if I want to modify the machine and perform an action, it's possible. Just like that, and there you go. It works perfectly now. And a little extra information, you can find all the different certificates that are on the machines. You can find them in WPT 86, WPT, and it's this one. Finally, you can see all the certificates that are installed on the machine, so all the people who have access to this machine. That was the overview of the user certificate. I hope this video answered some of the questions you might have had, and then on that note, with that, I wish you a great day. Goodbye.